Why am I not finding that? All right. Welcome, welcome. Got more people coming in. All right. Okay. How we doing?
Good, good. How are you, Gerry?
Good, good.
Good.
I'm looking for a Kelly song that I want to play before we get started, and I had time finding it. Is there a way to let me track the song much quicker? So, because I'm doing well here. I believe I can find. It's almost that time. All right. Thank you all for coming in. Appreciate it. This is going to be like a little bit of an interactive session. Okay. Lessons learned on the way. What do I have with that? Lessons learned on my way. Okay. I believe that song actually represent a lot of stuff I'm going to be talking about. So that's why I wanted to play that song for you guys to hear it. In every one of us life, that pivotal moments, there are pivotal moments in our life that change the course of our life. Something happened along the way where we believe we're unstoppable. And I wanted to first have a conversation around that. And I'm not very great with the computer. You're gonna see me asking for help along the way. But again, it's just a question of what you believe you can do and the results you can get from that. Since Heather, you're the first one on, can you think back to either as a kid or as an adult, something that happened that make you feel you can be unstoppable?
I guess maybe just when I've had success in the past, like when I closed my first deal, when I got promoted. There's been a few times in my life where I felt like that, you know, and it's just such a good feeling when you've accomplished something that you set your mind to.
Okay. Now, I'm taking it away from business. I'm taking it away from real estate. I'm taking it to your personal life, where something happened where it looked like it's gonna kill you, but instead of killing you, you triumph over it. It could be a play, it could be a kid, you know, it could be something where it's like, wow, am I gonna make it through this thing? And you came over on the other side. Can you think about anything like that?
Let me have a think. In my personal life, maybe. Well, I guess like the biggest thing that happened to me in my personal life was actually becoming a mom. And I now have a boy who's 2 years old. So I guess, you know, like that's a big life-changing moment. So yeah, and then I guess you really do learn how to cope when you have like another human being to take care of. And it definitely changed my life, but you know, for the better, because I'm working harder, and you know, everything is like actually for him.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for sharing. Lynette, anything you can think back?
1,000 miles, and at the time, at the moment, he was in the hospital already. So I had to leave everything, and you know, unfortunately, we didn't make it to see our father. He passed away, and that was the moment that I realized that, well, you know, he's not here anymore, and I was, you know, I was his favorite daughter. So it really hits me when I didn't have the chance to see him and say goodbye. And I worked my life here in California to stay with my mother. And through that time, I was going through a lot of hardship, looking for a job and adjusting myself to California ways. I was just like lost. And fortunately, my brother was, you know, I mean, with us, and he was guiding me all through the time, and until I got adjusted to be working, and, you know, to accept that my father is gone, and I'm here to go ahead and move on and take care of my mom.
Yeah.
That's it.
And you're doing well. You're going to be doing it big. Okay. The reason why I asked this question from everyone is one of the lessons we learn is always internal, inside of us. Let me share my story. Several years ago, this was a while back, we just had our first daughter, and we went to Grand Canyon, you know, and I remember this was the days, there was a movie that I just watched before I left home called The Last of the Mohicans. It won an Oscar for Best Actor for Daniel Day-Lewis. Anyway, we went to the Grand Canyon, and we got there. It was our first time coming to a big park like that. And we got there, we went to the visitors place. They tell us about, okay, if you're gonna go hiking down the canyon, you know, you gotta plan 3 days. You have to remember every mile you go down, it's like 2 miles coming up, all that stuff. And we were not really camping people. This was prior to me doing Boy Scout and all that stuff. So my wife and I, you know, she just had a baby. She's a little bigger than a normal size. And we you know, got a gallon of water, we packed some sandwiches, and we started, one of our 3 days there, we decided to hike down. And we really we didn't plan on going far because we knew we don't have camping gears. So we can't stay overnight or anything like that. And we staying in the village anyway. But because I just watched this movie, The Last of the Mohicans, and this movie is about two brothers that's going in a wild forest and, you know, doing all kind of stuff. I'm all excited. So I'm going down. I just kept going down, kept going down. And next thing I know, I was at went on the South Rim, you get to the Indian Gardens, that's about 2.5 miles from the top. So going back, it's gonna be like 5 miles getting back up. But you gotta climb the hills getting back up. So anyway, we lay down, had some sandwiches, and like, okay, I think when we started going down, it was around 12 to 1. We got downstairs, it was 3 o'clock. So we're like, oh my God, we don't want it to be too dark going back up. We need to start going. And on our way up, we must have walked maybe like 100 yards, and my wife, her legs gave up. Now, I don't know if anybody knows my wife, she's about 5'9". On a good day, about 145. At this point, she was like 179 pounds. And I had to carry her on my back, walking up. Now, sandwiches was gone already, so all we had was a lot of water. And I have never sweated as much as I did on that trip back up. And I remember, luckily for us, we had this 13, young people, I think from USC. And it's about 7 guys and 5 girls. And some of those girls were tired. But anyway, those kids gave me cookies. And I'm not really a cookie eating person. But man, that cookie that day felt like heaven, okay? So give me energy. And then on our way up, we also found out that they said somebody died on the cliff like a week before. I'm like, that ain't gonna be me. But I sweated so much going all the way because I had to carry this lady on my back. Every step I take, I'm drilling. Luckily, it was a winter time. I think it was like around February. So it's a little snow on the floor, and that cold actually helped draining all my sweat. But we made it back up like around 1 o'clock in the morning. And it was at that point in my life that I'm like, okay, there's nothing that I cannot do if I can make it through this night, right? So one of the things I want you guys to know is if something doesn't kill you, you will overcome it. So just like we all have these experiences, somebody coming from a different country, having to learn a language that you're not familiar with and excelling at it, we all are overcomers. It's in us. We've got it in us. So, one thing I want you guys to know that real estate is not a magical business. It's really a process and time. Process of energy that you put into it, just like hiking up the trail, is a process. You can't jump from the middle of the canyon to the top. You always have to walk through every corners, every bumps that you're going through to make your way to the top. One of the things I wanted to share with you guys, in life, there are guideposts in life. It's kind of like if you were hiking somewhere or you were going somewhere, there are directions that you see here, you see there, go right here, watch out for a cliff here, stuff like that. There are directions in our life for us to get to our destination. And I want us to think of real estate like that too. There are directions that real estate gives you. If you follow it, you will not miss your destination. And I believe there's a great destination for every one of us to achieve if we follow what has been done before. One of the reasons why I love Keller Williams is this is a company that gives us models, a lot of models to follow. Everything you want to do is been done by somebody. All you got to do is follow what they've done and people that have done it right and try to do the same thing. So what's your process like? Lead generation, is the big frog that we all have to eat every day. And you just got to decide what that frog is for you. For somebody, it could be calling. All right, I love calling. You know, if you come into my office, I'm making calls all day long. Some people love parties. If you're a party person, be a party person and using a party to look for business for yourself. Thank you. Right? If you're a party person, just be a party person looking for business, but just be purposeful in it. And I mean, you know, there's a thing we call family reunion. And our even mega camp is coming up, I believe sometime this month. I enter for it. Tune into mega camp. You're gonna find agents in there on stage that they do what you like to do. They just do it more purposefully, and they are super successful with it. You know, and everybody's different. So it's like every time I go to mega camp, like, okay, can I be like that person? Can I be like that person? Oh no, maybe I can be this person. And then you find out maybe a little bit of this person is good enough for you. A whole lot of that person is what you need. There are models set up for us, you know, to follow. You know, lead generation doesn't have to be one way. It can be 3 or 4 ways, but it needs to be your way. You know, I remember I went to, I think the South Bay board, and they had some agents in there, and Hoffman and Murphy, I believe, Sue Murphy and a partner, they were talking about when they first started their business, how they do the same lead generation the first year, and they got a few deals from it. Well, they did the same lead generation the next year. Now, all of a sudden, they got like 6 or 10 deals that second year. And then the third year, they do the same thing, and now they generate, you know, 15, 20 deals, and it just never stops. It gets up more. So I just want you not to be tired of the boredom of doing the same thing. But if you do the same thing that you like to do, you have great time in doing it, but be purposeful at the very, you know, just look to achieve it at the highest level that you can. If you are someone that's great at going to events, well, go to all those events and be purposeful in connecting with people. And that's your lead generation. You know, you could be doing lead generation 1 day a week. And, you know, in that 1 week, you meet, you know, 50 to 100 people, and you're purposeful in connecting with them. If you are somebody that loves door knocking and be in front of people, well, do that. If it's open house that you're good at, but stay with it, because this thing, let me tell you, there are two stories I want to share with you. I remember this one agent, I believe it was a new agent, and his first open house that he did was a $3 million home in Manhattan Beach. And mind you, this property has been in the market for like 160 days. I knew the listing agent. She didn't want to give it to anybody because, you know, $3 million home, she wants to get it, until she got tired of nobody, you know, buying this stuff. And told this guy, like, okay, you know, I just need somebody else to cover this house for this weekend. And it's like, okay, I'll do it. So, and that was his first open house. And a football player came in and they offered cash to buy the property. And he represented them. So his first deal was a $3 million deal. Well, you know, it got a $3 million deal. And after that, it's like it was waiting for something big like that again to happen. And it didn't happen, and he left the business. You know, literally 6 months later, he left the business. And then you have other people that will do 100 open house before they find somebody. But when you look at those two people, you'll be like, oh, I would love to do. By the way, the first open house I did myself, actually, I did find a buyer for that open house too. However, That didn't happen after that for a long time. But if you understand this process in time and you continue to do what you do, if that's what you love, I'll soon find out in my life that open house is not my thing. I just love communicating with people, just inspiring people anywhere I can go. And sometimes it comes back to you. But whatever it is you like to do, you just gotta stay at it and stay at it and stay at it and stay at it and stay at it. And you'll see it now coming back to you. You know, here, it come back to you there, it come back to you here, it come back to you there, right? I want to talk about real estate as a marathon race. I'm not gonna go through asking everybody question about marathon. So I'm gonna just share let me tell you my marathon race. The one time I ran a marathon, I think it was in 1990. I used to go to the gym. I used to live in Hollywood area at that time. I used to go to the gym. I know some guys that will run the track at the gym, and I know I'm a little faster than them. I do 5-6 miles, 2 or 3 times a week. And we were just talking, and this guy's like, oh, yeah, I ran a marathon last year. I'm like, you ran the marathon? I'm like, I always pass you by at the gym. He said, yeah, I ran the marathon. I said, really? If you run a marathon, I'm going to do the marathon because I never believed I can do it before that, right? And seeing that this person that I pass through the track all the time, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it. So I asked him, I said, how long did it take you to finish? He told me it took him about 5 hours. I'm like, okay, well, I think at the very least I should be able to do that. Meanwhile, I think prior to that time, the longest I've run is maybe 8 miles. Usually I run 5-6 miles, 2 times a week. So I went and calling, setting for the marathon. They had it to fill out a form. You put in the how long it's gonna take you to finish it. Because I'm like, okay, at least I gotta at least match this guy if I can't beat him. And so that was that. I think the marathon is like in March. In February, in December, I was kind of training, here and there, but I never really went beyond my 8-mile training. But I started making it like 3 times a week. And then in January, I usually fast in the beginning of the year. So I fasted for 3 weeks. So I didn't really practice while I was fasting because I was already losing weight and all that stuff. So in February, I decided, okay, I got to get back to training. Like, oh my God, this thing is in March. I've never ran a marathon before. How am I going to do it? So I started training and I started running 10 miles and 12 miles. And then I started running 15 miles. And it's like, okay, I can do this. This is cool. And then I was home one day. They had a commercial about, I think Big 5 had these shoes that were supposed to be great running shoes. And that commercial just got me like, oh my God, I gotta have that shoe. So I went to Big 5 and all the Big 5 I went to, the shoes was out. And I finally went to this one in Westwood and they have one, but it was a 9.5. My shoe size is a 11. I'm like, oh man, I gotta have these shoes. So I'm like, okay, just give it to me. If my leg can fit into it, I'm gonna use it, right? So I got on the shoe, like I'm so excited, like, okay, I'm gonna run this marathon. And to break my shoe in, so now we're in March, right? I started training like really February, now in March, and I think the marathon is like on the 23rd of March. So I like, oh my God, I don't know if I can run this thing. I will hate to not be able to do it. So like a week before, I drove my car LA to Hollywood area just to measure 28 miles. I really don't know how the track is going to be on the marathon day. So, but I measured my car where I covered 28 miles. I decided, okay, the Saturday before the marathon, I'm going to just do my own marathon just to make sure I can do this thing. I don't want to fail on that day. So I got on my shoes, my popping shoes, and I started running. And along the way, while I was running, I actually had to use the restroom at the 7-Eleven a couple of times, but I ran it. And at the end of the day, I did it in 3.5 hours. So when I get back home, I'm like, shoot, the people that win marathon, they do it in 2.5 hours. I had to stop for cars. I had to use the restroom twice. Hell, maybe I can compete in this marathon. So now I started running my mouth, right? Like, oh, listen, I can compete. So I told my wife, I said, let's go buy a camera. Now, I've watched some marathons in the past. They always tell you who are the potential winners of the marathon, who they are because of whatever they have on their record. So I'm like, if I do this in 3.5 hours, those guys finish in 2 hours, 20 minutes, I think I can compete with them. Now, this was Saturday before the Saturday, right? And just to be sure I can really do this thing, I'm like, on Thursday, let me just run 18 miles on Thursday. And I ran 18 miles on Thursday and I finished it like in 2 hours. I'm like, yeah, I'm ready. So on the day of the marathon, unknown to me, the badge that they give you is color coded based on your finish time. So I guess my color shows I'm 5 hours ahead. So they have the people that are gonna compete start first, and then they have another group, and the first group that started was like maybe 200 people. And on this day, it's so many people at the track, right? It was really at USC, by USC in LA downtown. And then the second group of people, I wanted to join them, and this cop just picked me up, like, no, so you are not one of those. You are coming back here. I'm like, no, I want to run, I want to compete. I have my wife, I have cameras, and in the finish line, like, people are gonna find out about Gerry, who's Gerry, blah, blah. So they forced me to the third row, the last group of people. And finally I joined them, I started running. So now, normally when I run, I was getting really good at running about 6-minute mile. All of a sudden, I must have flew in that first mile. I must have run like a 4.5-minute mile. And I caught up with the first group. But as soon as I caught up with them, I went out of gas. And I completely, stopped. And when you stop at the marathon, my God, people are just passing you by like crazy, passing you by. And finally, I regained some stuff and I started running again. And I was getting close to the 18th mile, where they always tell you, okay, if you continue this pace, this is where you're gonna finish at. So I ran the 18th mile. They told me I was gonna finish at 2.5 hours. So that means I must have done pretty good, with catching up and all that stuff. Because, I think the guy that won that day did it 2 hours, 22 minutes. But right after the 18th mile, my leg went out. It almost felt like my Grand Canyon story with my wife, but this time it was me. And my leg went out and I couldn't lift that leg. Oh my God. And I started crying. And eventually I worked my way to the finish line. It took me 4 hours instead of 2.5 hours. That is the wrong way to run a race. And a lot of us, we want to do a real estate career like that. We want to make that first deal, boom, and make the big deal, and we don't have patience to do it the proper way. Now, normally when you do a marathon, the guys that do the training, by the way, my leg was so messed up after the marathon, I didn't run for the next 3-5 years. It took me forever before, because the shoe that I bought, killed my leg too. So, but we have to make our real estate career know to be a real marathon. You train, you train your body, you relax your body, you train your body, you relax your body, and you run it in paces. Those guys that really run the marathon, they don't run marathon until the day of the marathon. They don't run 20 miles or 50 miles in one day unless it's the day of the marathon, because they know that their body at one point, it just go on overdrive and it will move the way it's supposed to move. And if we let our real estate career be like that, when you do it the proper way, you know you have to do lead generation. You know you have to look for opportunities. As you're looking for more opportunities, then other opportunities will come your way. Because you send that energy out, you know, they will come your way. But if we're just looking for the quick fix here and there, yeah, we may get lucky with that. But you can't stand that luck in sustaining time. You can only sustain yourself if you're doing the action needed daily and day in and day out. All right. So, so I have it like here. Don't do it the quick way. Just do it. Do the process. No, if you're doing your process, really all of this comes down to your process is lead generation, looking for business, looking for opportunity, having a conversation with people, and those opportunities will come, you know, it will come back your way. I find out that even when I'm lead generation for something else, it may just be lead generation calls, all of a sudden another call will come my way that I really believe they won't come if I didn't put the energy out of looking for a business. You know, then you'll get those calls that will come your way like, oh, this is so great. You'll be like, I wonder if I didn't make all those calls, would that call come in? No, they will not. The energy creates energy, and energy attracts energy. And I just want to encourage everybody that your star is in you. Just bring it out. Just like Eda was talking about becoming a mother. You don't plan for it, but it's a process. And when you have that new baby, you know you have to tend to it. Well, if you have this career, you know you have to work it. You know, people that do very well is because they work it day in, day out. And lastly, I just want to encourage you guys, again, with all that we have going on, there's really even opportunities in what we have going on. First of all, if you're calling people, most people are home now, right? So you can get them at home. And if you just had more conversations with them, you're going to find those people that something happened. Maybe because of staying home, people are crammed up at home. Now they want to get out. The young people that are staying with their family, now they want to be out of the family. They don't want somebody to contaminate them. So everybody wants their space now. And with the more space means more opportunities for us to talk them into buying a home, selling a home, and investing in a home. All right, any Q&A, any questions anybody have?
I will ask you, what does your process look like?
Good question. It usually starts around 5:30 in the morning. I do like the miracle morning. I did my thing, breathe in, breathe out 3 times. Get up. I usually go on my knees. Some people call it meditation. I call it praise worship. I like to spend time in music. You know, most of those music come from my mouth, but I'll just be, you know, my wife would pick up a Bible and read. I don't do that. I like to do praise worship, and somewhere in praise is where I hear do this, do that. You know, that's my meditation. And then when I get up from there, I go do some workout. With COVID now, I'm basically doing 15-minute workout cardio at home and doing some exercise and stretches, and then go fix my daughter food and myself food and get ready to come to work. And I'm usually in between 8:30 to 9. If I don't, a lot of times I'll get calls that come in that's holding me back from getting to the office on time. And when I come into the office, you know, I do look through the emails, you know, briefly. Actually, I'm actually almost anal. I don't like any unopened email. So I'll open all my emails, go through all of them, and then I'll start making calls for business. So like today, I started probably around 10. I was still in it, 12:15, 12:30. And then, from their point, if you have an appointment set up, great. If you don't, then I'm calling, doing some follow-up with buyers and sellers to see what else we can do. All right, that's pretty much my day. And a long time ago, especially when I got into real estate, and I have some issues at home with, taking care of a loved one and all that stuff. It's like just get the first 2 hours into looking for business. So back then I couldn't even come to the office early. Sometimes I don't get to the office at 2 o'clock, but it doesn't matter what time I get to the office. That first 2 hours is going to be spent in looking for business, having conversation with people. And then after that, hey, everything is cool. Then you can negotiate deals that you have in escrow, or what you're trying to put in escrow, and look for appointments. And one other thing I wanted to share is going on appointments is not necessarily all about real estate. Be purposeful when you're calling people. Find out who you can go to coffee with, especially old friends. Find out who's available. So if you don't have a real estate appointment, make a friend appointment. Because when you make a friend appointment and you go to eat with them, and just stay in that lane about talking about family and life, the fourth conversation. And before you leave them, make sure you ask for a business, and then talk about real estate. Hey, I'm in real estate. If you have anybody that that's thinking of buying a home, selling a home, or even investing in a home, will you please make sure you let me know? Like, cool. All right. So it's not just all appointments that have to be real estate. I mean, of course, you want them all to be real estate. On a great week, they are. But on a not so great week, make those appointments anyway, and go out to meet with people. And I've seen where I've gone to lunch with someone, and then 2 weeks later, they come here, Gerry. I was just talking to a friend of mine, and they need to sell their house, or they need to buy a house. Boom, cool. Look me up. Let's go.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Gerry, this is Ina. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go into the office and you're opening up all your emails and stuff like that, and you're in more than one transaction or several transactions, how do you find time to lead generate when the calls and the emails and the transactions can be so overwhelming? How do you make time or stand still long enough just to deal with new clients? Do you allow your current clients and all the current emails to bring in new leads, or are you actually working with your existing client, your existing clients in Sphere, for them to generate new leads to bring to you? So when you say lead generate, are you following up with people, or are you actually reaching out to brand new leads? Are you putting? Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you, Cody Gibson is a really great bull coach. As you all know, I'm a little bit of a bull fanatic. One thing he taught on a class I think at family reunion, I've kind of kept that pattern with me. Mondays and Tuesday, I'm strictly looking for new leads. On Mondays and Tuesday. On Wednesday, my lead generation is follow-up. So generally, Wednesdays when I set appointments. Every now and then I'll get lucky on Monday and Tuesday and set an appointment. But mostly Wednesdays when I set appointment. I'll go back to my phone log of 2 years ago and look at all the notes I have now and calling those people up and say, hey, I talked to you a couple of years back. You were looking to do this and looking to do that. How's that been for you? And those are the days I usually set appointments. And then Thursday and Friday, I'm calling all my calls up to my Sphere. And all of those, to me, is lead generation. If you once you, Cody made me feel comfortable that your lead follow up on Wednesday, that's your lead generation for that day.
Okay.
Because that's what can actually result, in appointments anyway. Yeah.
That really helps. That really kind of clears things up for me, because I always think when people say you need new leads, lead generate, but if you have current clients that may know of someone, or if you had a conversation with someone and they said, oh, I might have somebody for you, I mean, you have to follow up with those people. So I'm wondering,
Absolutely.
is that follow-up counted as
Absolutely.
a new lead generation? But yes, basically.
All right. Anybody else?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, I have a question, Gerry. Normally, like, how many appointments do you plan to have every week? And another question is that, do you also work on weekends, like calling people, like lead generation, if you have to?
And normally, unless I'm in bold, I don't do weekend calls. Weekends mostly appointments. And I try to keep my appointments on Saturday so I can have Sunday with the family. If I have like before I left for vacation last week, I did a couple of weekends of work. Took appointments Saturday, Sunday. I normally don't do that. But yeah, if I'm in bold and I haven't hit my 100 calls, I'm gonna hit my 100 calls over the weekend. But if I'm not in bold, I ain't doing that. All right.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any question? Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. I hope you pick up a little thing here and there. And the key thing is for you to know you are the star. You have that overcoming power within you. We all have it within us. That's why I want you to tap into a story in your past life or in your previous life where you know you have to come into something. When you know you have to come into something, you'll do it. And somehow the nature, because of your willing heart, the only time we lose is when we give up. And honestly, with COVID, there's plenty of business to go on. Let's not get caught up with, oh, COVID is happening, I can't do anything. Hey, just look at Amazon, what they're doing. I mean, they're doing crazy business. They want to take over malls now. So we can do the same thing because people are home. And honestly, this is allowing people to want to move more. So there's going to be more buyer opportunities because people don't want to stay congested together anymore. We don't know what this new New York is going to look like, because I know people in New York where 10 people live in one apartment. That's all changing. People want to move, have their own space, and I think we can be part of that. And there's plenty of business for us to have. All right. So love you guys. Everybody have a great one. If you have any questions, I'm always upstairs. Stop by to say hello. Okay.
Thank you, Gerry.
Thank you, Gerry.
Okay.